Shenwuxin Yi, a genius youth located at the pinnacle of the tennis world. Created an era of rule. Longma, being in the same era as that child, I don't know if it's your luck or your misfortune. Echizen Nanjiro, his name is Shenwuxin Yi, and he is known as the second legendary man. Shenwuxinyi said, I don't want to kill people, tennis, or soccer. Ah. Author June also created a group. 3997288178. Welcome everyone to join us. If there is any plot that you can explore. Keywords of the novel. Net King. Opening move Thundering Bagua with no pop-ups, Net King. Opening move Thundering Bagua TXT Complete Collection Download, Net King. Opening move Thundering Bagua Latest Chapter Reading. Chapter 1. I am God without belief. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 1. I am God without belief. The myth of invincibility in 1,000 battles, the tyrant of Japanese tennis, the second legendary man. Looking at the tennis magazines in his hand, he covered his head in confusion and distress. That's right, the news protagonist in these magazines is him. It's just that his family knows his own affairs, he's not as strong as the magazine claims. But the commotion in the past few days was so loud that it alarmed the entire Japanese tennis industry. With just one goal, Shen Wuxin Yi defeated the national championship champions for 2 consecutive championships, and the main singles team of Mujiting Academy played against Tokyo Endo. No one knows that from the beginning of that day, Shen Wuxin Yi was not prepared to talk about martial arts or engage in surprise attacks. He released his ultimate move the first time he received the ball, and it was a once-a-day ultimate move. Thundering Gossip. Far-field Dukio did not dodge, so he was tragic and became a stepping stone to his fame as a devout believer. As a primary school student who has not yet entered junior high school, it is unbelievable to defeat a top national tennis player with just one goal. So all tennis magazines began searching for all the information about Shin no Shinichi. When the information about Shenwuxinyi was found, everyone was shocked. He has been playing tennis for 3 years and has won 1,012 games. In all matches, either the opponent abstained or shaved his head 6.0, and no one ever took a game from him. The record of Shenwuxinyi is really amazing and terrifying. Some even began to prophesy. Shin no Shinichi will be the second Echizen Nanjiro, and his future will even far surpass that of a legendary warrior. Only Shenwuxin Yi knows that there are few true tennis masters in those over 1,000 matches, and the so-called unbeaten record of 1,000 matches is full of moisture. Shenwuxin Yi doesn't want to be so noticed, he just wants to constantly compete with others to improve his combat power. Looking at the system panel displayed in his mind, his expression of disbelief became bitter again. His 5 dimensions had not improved yet, and he was still one step away from the national level. Shenwuxin Yi, whose real name is Wu Yi, is not a person from this world. He was originally a sunny boy living under the 5-star red flag, but suddenly encountered an unexpected accident that left him sleeping in the darkness. When he woke up again, he came to this world where tennis is a sport that is revered, becoming the one with no faith today. Unlike other travelers, who lose both parents at the beginning of the game. Shenwuxinyi not only has his parents present, but also his grandparents are alive and very healthy. As for the family environment, it is an ordinary family, with not much money, but also not poor. My family runs a small octopus barbecue restaurant, and we all work in our own shop. Every day, our family lives happily together. Shenwuxin Yi came to this tennis prince world 3 years ago, and as a traveler, he naturally had cheats around him. He obtained a system panel and a time travel gift package. The system panel allows you to view your own attributes and information, and as for the time travel gift package, it's even more impressive. It's a big boss in the world of One Piece and a template for the 4th Emperor Kaido. When he received this gift package, Shenwuxin Yi was overjoyed and swore to transform into a divine dragon and rule the world in the future. As for playing tennis in the world of Prince of Tennis, using the Kaido template is impossible, it will never be possible in this lifetime. Isn't it fragrant to transform into a divine dragon and rule the world? Just as Shenwuxin felt that he was about to be invincible, the system panel gave him a harsh slap in the face. The panel prompts that only by continuously playing tennis matches can the template progress be improved. So playing tennis in the world of Prince Tennis, I feel like it's all over again. So over the past 3 years, Shenwuxin has been desperately participating in various competitions, even rarely going to school. In these 3 years, he has either been competing or on his way to the competition. He is working so hard, hoping to improve the progress of the template. However, reality has dealt an endless blow to Shenwuxin, and the progress of the template is too slow. It has been incredibly slow. Shenwuxin repeatedly opened the system panel in his mind. Shenwuxin 1 5-dimensional value strength. 6.5 speed. 3.1 endurance. 3.2 tip. 2.1 spirit. 4.5 total 5-dimensional values. 19.4 Kaiduo template progress. 0.00001% key skills. Thundering Bagua, two-handed version unlock 0.00003%, True Thundering Bagua, complete body unlock 0.00001%, Wind Blade, unlocked, Bad Wind, unlocked, Thundering, unlocked, Tornado, unlocked, Tornado Bad Wind, unlocked, Heat Breathing, unlocked. It has been 3 years, and I have been using it hard for 3 years. Apart from the increasing 5-dimensional value of the system panel, the template progress has not been moved. The biggest move I have learned is the thunderous gossip that the system gave me at the beginning. At the current pace, not only the dream of transforming Shenwuxin into a divine dragon, but also the complete unlocking of thunder and gossip, are all distant and hopeless, with no hope at all. With a sigh, Shenwuxin withdrew the panel from his mind. I am about to enter junior high school, and I don't know which school to choose. After all, my home is not in Tokyo or Kanagawa, but in Nagoya in the central region. Although the central region is famous for its national powerhouse, such as Koya Shinda, and has even made it to the top 8 for many consecutive years, it is a powerful team. But Shenwuxin also dislikes Nagoya Shinda because the tuition fees at this school are too expensive for his family to afford. Cinny sauce, someone is looking for it. Shenwuxinyi's mother, Shenwu Renako, shouted downstairs. Shenwuxin tidied up his clothes and slowly came downstairs, only to see an old man and a foreigner sitting at the reception table of his small shop. The old man and foreigner saw Shenwuxin come downstairs, and their 4 eyes immediately lit up. As Shenwuxin walked up to them, the two quickly stood up from their seats. The old man spoke up first. Hello, I am Yosuke Kyoda, the principal of Nagoya Shinda Academy. Hello, my name is Davis Ben and I am the coach of the Nagoya Shinda tennis department. Shenwuxin was surprised for a moment. This foreigner speaks Japanese fluently. Hello, may I ask if you have anything to do with me? We are here this time hoping that Shenwuxin can choose our Nagoya Shinda College in junior high school. Yosuke Kyoda stated his purpose. At this moment, the people of the Shenwuxin family all came to Shenwuxin's side. As the head of the family and the father of Shin no Shinichi, Shin no Yashitaro stood up and said, I'm really sorry, we know that Nagoya Shinda is a good school, but your tuition fees are too expensive for our family to afford. It's okay, Nagoya Saidaku College is willing to waive all expenses for student Shingo, and even in the future, our school is willing to send him to Germany to study tennis. As the principal of Nagoya Saidaku, Yosuke Kyoda gave a guarantee. At this moment, the relatives of Shenwuxin looked at each other, and everyone was somewhat moved. After Shenwuxin showed extraordinary talent in playing tennis, as family members, they strongly supported Shenwuxin's path to tennis. Don't worry, I am familiar with many tennis training institutions in Germany. If Shenwu joins us in Nagoya Shinda, we can guarantee that we will definitely send him to Germany to learn the most advanced tennis. It seems that I can see the heart of the Shenwuxin family, and Davis Ben stood up to guarantee. Shinichi, this matter is still up to you to make your own decision. No matter what your decision is, we will support you. At this moment, Kotaro patted his son's shoulder. Shenwuxin turned around to look at the family members around him, seeing their supportive eyes no matter what decision he made. Shenwuxin warmed his heart and smiled at them. He has decided to join Nagoya Shinda, with or without tuition fees. Does it matter whether he likes it or not? Excuse me, is this a co-scholar of the God without belief? Kai Duo's dragon-like transformation, the protagonist will appear in a different dimensional form. After all, the protagonist cannot incarnate into a true dragon. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Ice Emperor Advisor Kotaro. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Ice Emperor Advisor Kotaro. At this moment, two more people entered the Shenwuxinyi small shop. One of them was wearing an amber suit and a red scarf around his neck, looking extremely noble. The other one is extremely tall, over 2 meters tall, with white and blue hair on his forehead that covers his eyes. Hello, may I ask if there is anything I can do to contact our family's letter one? At this moment, Naoko Shinori approached the two of them and asked. Hello, I am Kotaro, the tennis consultant of the Ice Emperor Academy. I am here to disturb you and invite student Shenwu to join our Ice Emperor Academy. At this moment, Shenwuxin also looked over. He knew that one was the consultant of the Ice Emperor Tennis Department, Kotaro, and the other was the minister of the Ice Emperor Tennis Department, Yujiue, who led the department nationwide. Hey, Nagoya, you came to our Nagoya to snatch people. It's a bit excessive, isn't it? At this moment, Yosuke Kyoto immediately exploded upon seeing Nagatoro. He was completely untrustworthy, but he was the first to take notice. Nowadays, the strongest generation of Mujireng is about to graduate, and major tennis schools are taking this opportunity to rise. Who knows now, Shenwuxin is the strongest in the next era. With him, a victory in a singles game is guaranteed. After all, Shenwuxin defeated the top national expert and the third person in the country's 2 consecutive victories at Muzatang Academy with just 1 goal, Tokyo Yoshino. Ueji Ueguang had a battle with Tomoko Amano, and the two had their own wins and losses. They knew Tomoko Amano's difficulties well, and when they heard that he had been defeated by a primary school student with just 1 goal, even he couldn't believe it. So when I learned that Coach Shi was going to invite this elementary school student, I couldn't help but join Coach Shi and want to see firsthand how powerful this guy named Shenwuxin is. It's just that others don't know that Shenwuxin's defeat to Farfield Dukio was a stroke of luck. If Farfield Dukio doesn't go and receive all the thunder gossip, later on, when Shenwuxin knows, he will never be a match for Farfield Dukio. After all, the thunder gossip with both hands is only equivalent to Ishida Yin's 88-style wave ball. Perhaps the thunderous gossip with both hands is enough to defeat many people, but it does not include top national experts like Toshiko Amano. But fortunately, Farfield du Kyoto Iron took over his entire thunderous gossip, although it was only in its primitive stage, it also had the power of hitting the ball with light. Especially after Shenwuxin finished all the thunder and gossip, a big hole like a spider web was knocked out on the wall behind Farfield Dukio, which is truly the place that shakes people's hearts. Principal Kyoto, tennis players like Shinmu are willing to fight for any school that aspires to dominate the country, and of course, our Ice Emperor is no exception. Kotaro really longed for Shinmu Shinichi to join the Ice Emperor. After all, next year Yoshitaka will soon graduate, and the Ice Emperor needs a new leader. I want to hear about your conditions. At this moment, Shenwuxin stood up from his seat and began to observe Kotaro and Echizen Moonlight. When observing two people, both of them are also observing God without faith. Shenwuxin's appearance is very deceptive. Although he is only 12 years old, he is 1.72 meters tall. Coupled with his silver long hair and cold handsome face, he gives the impression that this man is strong and lonely. But no one knows how gloomy Shenwuxin's heart is. In addition to exempting students' tuition fees, our Ice Emperor will also be responsible for food and accommodation by the school. Shenwuxin shook his head in disappointment. The Ice Emperor was too insincere, and this condition was not as good as his Nagoya Shingda. And when Yosuke Kyoto, the principal of Nagoya Shingda, saw the conditions offered by the Ice Emperor, his heart also calmed down. When he saw Shenwuxin shake his head again, he felt even more at ease. Just as he was about to mock him, Kotaro spoke again. Of course, I know these things won't impress Shingo. Kotaro said here, glanced at Yosuke Kyoto, and then continued, 10 million yen. As long as Shingo joins the Ice Emperor Academy will give him a scholarship of 10 million yen. At this moment, several drooling sounds had already sounded, and as soon as Shenwuxin knew, it was from his own family. No hope, really no hope. Didn't you see anyone from Nagoya Shingda still around? It's just a good time for them to compete with each other for a profit. Shenwuxin remained calm and glanced at the Nagoya Shingda couple, shouting in his heart, increase the price, quickly increase the price. Perhaps upon hearing the cry of Shin no Shin in his heart, Yosuke Kyoto gritted his teeth and shouted, our Nagoya Star Germany is offering 5 million yen, plus sending Shin no Shin to Germany every year to study tennis for a month. There are all cheats around, I still need to learn tennis. I only need money. Shenwuxin looked at Kotaro again, desperately hoping that he could continue to raise the price. I am personally willing to pay an additional 5 million yen, totaling 15 million yen, but Shenwu must stay at the Ice Emperor for at least 3 years. Cheerful, I have always liked people like you, my advisor. At this moment, the family members of Shenwuxin Yi couldn't help but secretly admire their grandson, when they saw that he was still calm. They couldn't be so calm when facing money themselves. My grandson, is truly a man known as the second legend by others. At this point, Yosuke Kyoto began playing the emotional card and came to Shin no Shinichi's side, saying, Shin no, you should know that the Ice Emperor is in Tokyo. If you go there, it means you need to stay away from your family. Nagoya Shintoku is not far from your home, so you can come back anytime you like. Yeah, Shenwuxin, you should know that German tennis is the most advanced in the world. As long as you go to Germany to learn, you will definitely make significant progress. Davis Ben also approached Shenwuxin and advised him. But as soon as Shenwuxin listened, he rolled his eyes in his heart and wanted me to go to Shingda in Nagoya without increasing the price, dreaming. You thought being close to home would tempt me, you think this is a dunk. Seeing Nagoya Shingda no longer raising prices and Shenwuxin no longer talking nonsense, he glanced at Kotaro and Yueguang and said calmly, actually, I'm not interested in money. What I care about is your sincerity. Since the sincerity of the Ice Emperor is enough, I'm willing to join him. Kotaro smiled at the words and said, welcome to the Ice Emperor Academy, student Shenwu. Thank you, consultant. The two of them clasped their hands together, and then Shenwuxin spoke again, by the way, coach, should we sign the contract? No need, I believe in Shenwu. After Kotaro finished speaking, he took out a checkbook from his pocket and wrote it with 0 words. Of course, there was a 15 in front. Taking the check handed over by Kotaro, Shenwuxin remained calm on his face, but his heart was moved. Don't believe me, I don't even believe in myself. I am a man who cannot withstand the temptation of money. At this moment, the two people in Nagoya saw this and their faces also darkened a lot. Can we have a fight with you? At this moment, Yueguang, who had not spoken yet, made an appointment to fight against Shenwuxin. How about a ball? Yueguang remained silent for a while before nodding and saying, sure. At this moment, Kotaro glanced at Tsuyoshi Yoshimitsu. He knew that Tsuyoshi Yoshimitsu was testing the strength of Shin no Shinichi and whether he could take over his position as the leader of the Ice Emperor after he left. Although the report claimed that Shin no Shin defeated Tokyo Endo 1 goal at a time, it was ultimately false to hear and true to see. At this moment, the two of Nagoya Shinda did not leave and were also prepared to stay and watch the match between Shin-no-Shinichi and the legendary minister of the Ice Emperor, Yuji Moonlight. After all, in the future, Shenwuxin will be the enemy of Nagoya Shinda. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Thundering Bagua. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Thundering Bagua in an open-air tennis court in Nagoya. Shenwuxin stood opposite the Yuji Moonlight. You serve. Yueji Yueguang is very confident, and no one has ever encountered his mock serve for the first time and can come back. So he asked Shenwuxin to serve first. Okay. Shenwuxin is not affected at all. Since he knows that someone else's ultimate move is serving and they are willing to concede now, he naturally has to seize the opportunity. Otherwise, if Kotaro feels that the money has been wasted and wants to take it back, it will be embarrassing. Shenwuxin lightly patted the tennis ball with his hand. Just now, he had already felt his spirit fluctuating, knowing that during a brief conversation between the court and Yuji Guang, he had carried out a mental assassination on himself. If I were to use your mock serve, I wouldn't have any chance with this one, but if I thought a mental assassination would defeat me, I think the more intelligent you are, the more you think about it. After Shenwuxin muttered in his heart about Yueji Moonlight, his eyes froze and his arms swung. The tennis ball was thrown high, and his body moved naturally. Bend knees, step on feet, take off, swing. The entire serving action is extremely simple and smooth, using Shenwuxin's power value of up to 6.5 to swing the ball with force. The serve is very straight, but fast and heavy. Even Shenwuxin did not expect that under the spiritual assassination of Yuji, he could still serve better than before. Perhaps this is the power of money. This serve speed is definitely 200 km per hour, which is a national level serve. At this time, Kotaro was very satisfied with Shinichi Kanabu's serve. After all, he was only a 12-year-old boy who could serve at the national level, which was extremely rare. Just Kotaro didn't know, this time it was a remarkable performance from Shin. He doesn't usually serve at such a fast speed, at most only 195 km per hour. The most important thing is not the speed, but the weight of the ball. The power of Shenwu classmate is very strong, even surpassing the level of junior high school students. Coach Davis Ben of Nagoya Shinda spoke from the side at this moment. Not enough, the more intelligent this ball can be played back. As expected, as Kotaro said, the more intelligent and relaxed he was, the more he hit back the serve of Shin-no-Shinichi. Perhaps due to the weight of the ball, Yueji Yueguang's counterattack was not as fast as Shenwuxin had imagined. Since that's the case, then seize the opportunity and come up with a big move. He has no intention of testing the strength of others, let alone winning or losing with just one goal. Yueji Moonlight, don't get hurt with this ball. Shenwuxin shouted loudly at Yueji Moonlight, then concentrated all his strength on his right hand. Then he let out a long drink. Drink. Thunder. Sound. 8. Hexagrams. The high spirits of disbelief echoed throughout the entire stadium. At this moment, Shenwuxinyi's right hand was already filled with a myriad of thunderbolts, and the racket made a thunderous sound, exuding a terrifying aura. What is this? Davis was so shocked that he couldn't even speak at the sight. How could it be so strong, how could it be? Upon seeing this ball, Yosuke Kyoto regretted not raising the price just now. If he could bring Shin-no-Shinichi back to school, he would definitely lead Nagoya Shinda to the top of the country in the future. This is Shin-no-Shinichi. Kotaro opened his eyes wide, his breathing becoming extremely heavy, his eyes fixed on Shin-no-Shinichi on the field, and now he was very excited and wanted to scream. He had known before that Shinto-no-Shinichi was very strong, but this move had already surpassed all middle school and even high school students. Kotaro eagerly looked at Shinto-no-Shinichi and couldn't help but murmur, Shinto-no-Shinichi is truly worthy of being called the second legendary man. At this moment, inside the stadium, Boom! The sound of hitting the ball sounded like a thunderous roar, and the spectators couldn't help but block their ears with their hands. Only Yueji Yueguang is focused, he wants to hit this ball back. Bang! The tennis ball landed, but Yueji Yueguang didn't catch it because he knew he couldn't return it. At this moment, when everyone saw Yueji moonlight behind them, they all showed surprised expressions. Surprisingly, the wall on the court was blasted out by a tennis ball, and the cracks around it were like spider webs. Although previously in magazines, it was reported that after Shin no Shin's defeat to Tokyo Amano, the wall was blasted out of a large hole by a tennis ball. But seeing it with my own eyes today is far more shocking than those magazine photos. Yu Jiue took a deep breath, and his heart was equally shaken. A 12-year-old boy with such terrifying hitting power was simply unbelievable. He had also seen such a powerful ball before, it was the man named Equal Court at this year's national competition. He also used a tennis ball to blast a huge hole out of the wall, but his ball would shine. At this moment, Shenwuxinyi and Yueji Yueguang had put away their rackets and came to the middle of the net, shaking hands with each other. "You're very strong, I lost this time." Yu Jiue was very straightforward, losing means losing, winning means winning. He didn't hesitate to lose to elementary school students or anything, after all, there was still a distant duhaying ahead. "If you serve, I will lose." Although there is a significant height difference between the two, their aura is no less impressive than that of Yu Jiue. "I hope you can lead the Ice Emperor to conquer the whole country." "Of course, I will lead the Ice Emperor to win 3 consecutive national championships." Upon hearing these words, Yu Jiue's face lit up with a rare smile. The match ended quickly, and Shin no Shinichi won. However, Taro and Davis Ben not only saw the terrifying strength of the young man, but also discovered the infinite potential bestowed by his body. After all, Shin no Shinichi is only 12 years old now. The two of them came to Kotaro's side, and Kotaro's eyes were fixed on Shen Wuxin. "Shen Wuxin, welcome you to join the Ice Emperor again." "Thank you, consultant. I will definitely take the Ice Emperor to the top of the country." Listening to Taro's words, Shenwuxin realized that he had admitted his strength. "Sorry to bother you, I'm Inoue Sho, a journalist from Tennis Monthly. I'm wondering if it's possible to interview Shinbu." At this moment, a tennis magazine journalist with a camera walked over. Just now in the game, Inoue Sho watched the whole process. The young man hit a terrifying goal, which shook his heart inexplicably. At the same time, he was amazed. Perhaps at this age, Nanjiro Echizen is not as good as this young man. Shenwuxin glanced at Kotaro and saw Kotaro lightly nod to Shenwuxin. Upon seeing this, Shenwuxin nodded at the well and said, "Sure. I want to ask where Shenwu will go to junior high school. Is it the Ice Emperor?" Just now he saw an interaction between Shin no Shinichi and Kotaro, and after the game, he also came to Kotaro's side with Tsuyoshi, so he had a guess. "Yes, in junior high school, I would choose the Ice Emperor." When Shenwuxin spoke, his tone was cold, but Inoue Sho felt it was normal. He was a man who looked at him and felt very strong and lonely, perhaps due to the loneliness of his peers who had no match. "Can you ask why Shenwu chose Ice Emperor? After all, Ice Emperor is in Tokyo. Why go to the Ice Emperor, of course, is because of money, but one cannot say without faith. The sincerity of the Ice Emperor has made me feel valued." It seemed that hearing the impatience of Shen Wuxin towards this question, Kotaro spoke from the side and said, "Mr. Inoue, we have other matters to attend to now and need to leave first." After speaking, Kotaro wanted to leave the field with Tsuyoshi Moonlight and Shin no Shinichi. "Please wait a moment, I have one more question for Shenwu." "Ask." After Shenwuxin entered junior high school, did he have any goals? Seeing Shenwuxin stop, Inoue Sho breathed a sigh of relief. Goal. In fact, Shenwuxinyi really doesn't have any goals. He just wants to unlock the progress of the template and make money. But this answer cannot be said either. Shenwuxin looked at Kotaro and Yueji Moonlight who were watching him beside him, then raised his right hand and said coldly, "I will lead the Ice Emperor to dominate the country next year and create my own era." The next day, Tennis Monthly released its latest issue. The Tyrant of Tennis is coming to Tokyo, declaration. The future is the era of tyrants, end of this chapter. Chapter 3. Thundering Bagua. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Thundering Bagua in an open-air tennis court in Nagoya. Shenwuxin stood opposite the Yueji Moonlight. You serve. Yueji Yueguang is very confident, and no one has ever encountered his mock serve for the first time and can come back. So he asked Shenwuxin to serve first. Okay. Shenwuxin is not affected at all. Since he knows that someone else's ultimate move is serving and they are willing to concede now, he naturally has to seize the opportunity. Otherwise, if Kotaro feels that the money has been wasted and wants to take it back, it will be embarrassing. Shenwuxin lightly patted the tennis ball with his hand. Just now, he had already felt his spirit fluctuating, knowing that during a brief conversation between the court and Yueji Yueguang, he had carried out a mental assassination on himself. If I were to use your mock serve, I wouldn't have any chance with this one, but if I thought a mental assassination would defeat me, I think the more intelligent you are, the more you think about it. After Shenwuxin muttered in his heart about Yueji Moonlight, his eyes froze and his arms swung. The tennis ball was thrown high, and his body moved naturally. Bend knees, step on feet, take off, swing. The entire serving action is extremely simple and smooth, using Shenwuxin's power value of up to 6.5 to swing the ball with force. The serve is very straight, but fast and heavy. Even Shenwuxin did not expect that under the spiritual assassination of Yueji Yue, he could still serve better than before. Perhaps this is the power of money. This serve speed is definitely 200 km per hour, which is a national level serve. At this time, Kotaro was very satisfied with Shinichi Kanabu's serve. After all, he was only a 12-year-old boy who could serve at the national level, which was extremely rare. Just Kotaro didn't know, this time it was a remarkable performance from Shin no Shin. He doesn't usually serve at such a fast speed, at most only 195 km per hour. The most important thing is not the speed, but the weight of the ball. The power of Shenwu classmate is very strong, even surpassing the level of junior high school students. Coach Davis Ben of Nagoya Shingda spoke from the side at this moment. Not enough, the more intelligent this ball can be played back. As expected, as Kotaro said, the more intelligent and relaxed he was, the more he hit back the serve of Shin no Shinichi. Perhaps due to the weight of the ball, Yueji Yueguang's counterattack was not as fast as Shenwuxin had imagined. Since that's the case, then seize the opportunity and come up with a big move. He has no intention of testing the strength of others, let alone winning or losing with just one goal. Yueji Moonlight, don't get hurt with this ball. Shenwuxin shouted loudly at Yueji Moonlight, then concentrated all his strength on his right hand. Then he let out a long drink. Drink. Thunder. Sound. 8. Hexagrams. The high spirits of disbelief echoed throughout the entire stadium. At this moment, Shenwuxinyi's right hand was already filled with a myriad of thunderbolts, and the racket made a thunderous sound, exuding a terrifying aura. What is this? Davis was so shocked that he couldn't even speak at the sight. How could it be so strong, how could it be? Upon seeing this ball, Yosuke Kyoto regretted not raising the price just now. If he could bring Shin no Shinichi back to school, he would definitely lead Nagoya Shingda to the top of the country in the future. This is Shin no Shinichi. Kotaro opened his eyes wide, his breathing becoming extremely heavy, his eyes fixed on Shin no Shinichi on the field, and now he was very excited and wanted to scream. He had known before that Shinto no Shinichi was very strong, but this move had already surpassed all middle school and even high school students. Kotaro eagerly looked at Shinto no Shinichi and couldn't help but murmur, Shinto no Shinichi is truly worthy of being called the second legendary man. At this moment, inside the stadium. Boom! The sound of hitting the ball sounded like a thunderous roar, and the spectators couldn't help but block their ears with their hands. Only Yueji Yueguang is focused, he wants to hit this ball back. Bang, the tennis ball landed, but Yueji Yueguang didn't catch it because he knew he couldn't return it. At this moment, when everyone saw Yueji moonlight behind them, they all showed surprised expressions. Surprisingly, the wall on the court was blasted out by a tennis ball, and the cracks around it were like spider webs. Although previously in magazines, it was reported that after Shin no Shin's defeat to Tokyo Amano, the wall was blasted out of a large hole by a tennis ball. But seeing it with my own eyes today is far more shocking than those magazine photos. Yuji took a deep breath, and his heart was equally shaken. A 12-year-old boy with such terrifying hitting power was simply unbelievable. He had also seen such a powerful ball before, it was the man named Equal Court at this year's national competition. He also used a tennis ball to blast a huge hole out of the wall, but his ball would shine. At this moment, Shenwuxinyi and Yueji Yueguang had put away their rackets and came to the middle of the net, shaking hands with each other. You're very strong, I lost this time. Yuji was very straightforward, losing means losing, winning means winning. He didn't hesitate to lose to elementary school students or anything, after all, there was still a distant dueling ahead. If you serve, I will lose. Although there is a significant height difference between the two, their aura is no less impressive than that of Yuji. I hope you can lead the Ice Emperor to conquer the whole country. Of course, I will lead the Ice Emperor to win 3 consecutive national championships. Upon hearing these words, Yuji's face lit up with a rare smile. The match ended quickly, and Shin no Shinichi won. However, Taro and Davis Ben not only saw the terrifying strength of the young man, but also discovered the infinite potential bestowed by his body. After all, Shin no Shinichi is only 12 years old now. The two of them came to Kotaro's side, and Kotaro's eyes were fixed on Shenwuxin. Shenwuxin, welcome you to join the Ice Emperor again. Thank you, consultant. I will definitely take the Ice Emperor to the top of the country. Listening to Taro's words, Shenwuxin realized that he had admitted his strength. Sorry to bother you, I'm Inoue Sho, a journalist from Tennis Monthly. I'm wondering if it's possible to interview Shinmu. At this moment, a tennis magazine journalist with a camera walked over. Just now in the game, Inoue Sho watched the whole process. The young man hit a terrifying goal, which shook his heart inexplicably. At the same time, he was amazed. Perhaps at this age, Nanjiro Echizen is not as good as this young man. Shenwuxin glanced at Kotaro and saw Kotaro lightly nod to Shenwuxin. Upon seeing this, Shenwuxin nodded at the well and said, sure. I want to ask where Shenwu will go to junior high school. Is it the Ice Emperor? Just now he saw an interaction between Shin no Shinichi and Kotaro, and after the game, he also came to Kotaro's side with Tsuyoshi, so he had a guess. Yes, in junior high school, I would choose the Ice Emperor. When Shenwuxin spoke, his tone was cold, but Inoue Sho felt it was normal. He was a man who looked at him and felt very strong and lonely, perhaps due to the loneliness of his peers who had no match. Can you ask why Shenwu chose Ice Emperor? After all, Ice Emperor is in Tokyo. Why go to the Ice Emperor, of course, is because of money, but one cannot say without faith. The sincerity of the Ice Emperor has made me feel valued. It seemed that hearing the impatience of Shenwuxin towards this question, Kotaro spoke from the side and said, Mr. Inoue, we have other matters to attend to now and need to leave first. After speaking, Kotaro wanted to leave the field with Tsuyoshi Moonlight and Shin no Shinichi. Please wait a moment, I have one more question for Shenwu. Ask. After Shenwuxin entered junior high school, did he have any goals? Seeing Shenwuxin stop, Inoue Sho breathed a sigh of relief. Goal. In fact, Shenwuxin Yi really doesn't have any goals. He just wants to unlock the progress of the template and make money. But this answer cannot be said either. Shen Wuxin looked at Kotaro and Yueji Moonlight who were watching him beside him, then raised his right hand and said coldly, I will lead the Ice Emperor to dominate the country next year and create my own era. The next day, Tennis Monthly released its latest issue. The Tyrant of Tennis is coming to Tokyo, declaration. The future is the era of tyrants, end of this chapter. Chapter 4. Young Geniuses in the Tennis World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Young Geniuses in the Tennis World, What a Arrogance. At the Bankura Tennis Club located in Kanagawa Prefecture, Kanto, a young man wearing a duckbill cap was holding the latest issue of the Tennis Weekly, full of anger and disdain towards Shinichi's bold remarks. Hee hee. A gentle laughter echoed from the side. A seemingly gentle young man took the Tennis Weekly from Shinichiro Makida's hand, looked at the cold and resolute Shinichi in the magazine photo, and a hint of playfulness appeared on his face. Then he suddenly said, Shinichiro, let's go to Tokyo to participate in this year's national elementary school competition. The gentle young man's name is Yukimura Seishi. At this moment, he looks up at Shinichiro Makida. Jingsher, with your and my abilities, participating in elementary school competitions is meaningless. No one among elementary school students is our opponent. Shinichiro Makida is very confident in his own strength. In his eyes, among his peers today, only Yukimura Seishi in front of him is the opponent he wants to defeat. He has no confidence in the hype of Tennis Weekly, and he doesn't even take it seriously. Since he started playing tennis, Shinichiro Makida has only lost to Yukimura Seishi, and for Shinichi Kano's record of complete victory, he is confident that both himself and Yukimura can achieve it. Of course, his premise was that he had not met Yukimura. After all, Yukimura's divine skill of destroying sight and touch had given him too much shadow. This time I'm going to Tokyo to participate in the competition, maybe I'll encounter Shinichi, after all, the Ice Emperor is in Tokyo. Yukimura Seishi paused and asked Shinichiro Sanada with a gentle smile on his face, Shinichiro, don't you want to go and see what Tennis Weekly calls the second legendary man? After pondering for a moment upon hearing the words, Jintian agreed and then his eyes showed his sword's edge. He said coldly, okay, if you really encounter Shinichi, then let me, Jintian Shinichiro, completely drive him into the abyss of defeat. Upon seeing the situation, Yukimura Seishi gave a gentle smile and then looked at the photo in Tennis Weekly, his mouth slightly raised and said, is it unbelievable? It's interesting. Kyushu Kumamoto. In the bookstore, a fluffy-haired boy with curly hair was holding a tennis magazine, pointing to the photo of Shinichi on it. He said to the golden-haired boy next to him, Juping, this guy looks so strong. The boy with a fluffy head is named Shenwuxinyi, while the boy with golden long hair is called Jujuping. The two are extremely famous tennis geniuses in the Kyushu region. Upon hearing this, Jujuping also glanced at the photo with a fierce fighting spirit emanating from his body. This is what makes it interesting. With such a powerful opponent, tennis is only fun. Shensui, I can't wait to get promoted to junior high school, play against him on the national stage, and then defeat him. Juping, perhaps we don't have to wait until we enter junior high school to fight against Shenwuxin. What does it mean? Shinichi opened another page of the Tennis Weekly and reached out to the orange plane, saying, the National Elementary School Tennis Competition is held in Tokyo, and maybe Shenwuxin will also participate in this competition. After all, this is his last national competition in his elementary school career, and Tokyo is still the territory of the Ice Emperor. Do you want to go to Tokyo and participate in this national elementary school tennis competition? Orange looked at Shinichi. It's not me, it's us. Shinichi smiled and shook his head slightly. Juping, don't you want to fight him earlier and try how good this man, who is known as the second legend, really is. After listening to Shenwuxin Yi's words, Jujuping fell silent for a moment, his eyes full of emotion, and a beast-like aura burst out from his body. His fighting spirit became even stronger than before. Juping, have you become stronger again? Shenwuxin Yi's tone, although questioning, was more like confirmation. Jujuping nodded calmly and spoke to Shenwuxin Yi, "Shenwei, let's go to Tokyo and register for this competition." Okay. As a genius, Shenwuxin Yi believes that neither he nor his friend Jujuping will be weaker than others, even though this man is known as the second legend. Kansai, Osaka. On the rooftop of the teaching building at Shishianbeo Temple High School, Mori Shishiro hid in a corner, covering himself with a coat, and was closing his eyes and enjoying himself. "Senior Maori, you're slacking off here again." A young man with brown hair, panting heavily, looked at Mori Shishiro. His name was Shirish Izanasuk, and although he was still a primary school student, due to his outstanding talent, he was discovered by the training instructor of the Four Heavenly Treasure Temple and participated in the training of the Four Heavenly Treasure Temple ahead of schedule. Today, he was assigned by Minister Hiroshi to find the Maori senior who was hiding from training. Seeing that Mori Shishiro didn't answer, Shirashizane spoke anxiously, "Senior Mori, if you don't train again, Minister Hiroshima and Coach Shio will really get angry." Although he has a high talent for tennis, Shizuke Shiraishi is even more envious of the Maori Shishiro in front of him, because the talent of the Maori senior far exceeds his own. Mori Shishiro slowly opened his eyes and looked lazy. What's the point? After all, when those monsters from Mudo graduate, there should be no one in this country who can compete with me. What's the point of training again? Despite having such a high tennis talent, the senior Maori wasted his talent and made Shirashihide, who was younger than Maori, resent him. When he remembered what Coach Shir had told him, Shigeru Shiraishi continued, "Senior Mori, perhaps there is another person who is stronger than you, Senior Mori." "Oh, who is it?" "That goal-defeated Shinichi Kano of Mudo High School's Tomokazu Endo." At this moment, upon hearing Shiraishi's words, Mori Shishiro's lazy expression disappeared, and his whole body was like a sword about to be unsheathed, ready to reveal his sharpness at any moment. Endo Dukio's strength is very strong. Although Mori Shishiro has never fought against him, he also knows in his heart that he has no confidence in defeating him. At first, those tennis magazines reported that Tokyo Endo was defeated by Shinichi Kano, but he didn't believe it. Later, it was confirmed by Coach Watanabe of the tennis department that one of Mudo's ace was really seriously injured by Shinichi Kano's goal. It is precisely because of this that Mori Shishiro began to attach importance to this elementary school student named Shino Shinichi. Upon hearing the name of Shen Wuxin, Senior Mori Shiraishizo saw the changes that had occurred on his body and couldn't help but secretly admire his own trainer. He continued speaking according to the coach's instructions. "I just received news that Shen Wuxin will choose the Ice Emperor Academy in junior high school and have made bold promises to lead the Ice Emperor to the top of the country, and this is not the most important thing, because there is still news. Shin no Shinichi, Minister of the Ice Emperor, Yuji Ueguang, had a 1.1 match, and in the end, Shin no Shinichi won the victory. Is that right? It's probably not that the Ice Emperor's more intelligent senior serves first. After all, no one can hit back on the first serve of the more intelligent senior." Maoli put on his coat again and looked at Baishir with a gloating expression. "I remember this guy should be in the same league as Baishir. Ah, with him, Xiao Baishir, so you have to work hard." "Well, I will do it, Senior Mori." As soon as Shiraishi finished speaking, he didn't pay attention as Mori Shishiro was about to leave the rooftop. Shiraishi Tsangji quickly shouted, "Senior Mori, where are you going again?" "Fool, of course I went to training." Mori Shishiro didn't look back and walked straight down the stairs, feeling a sigh in his heart. Even if it's not the more intelligent Moonlight serving, being able to win on him is unbelievable. He's really a monster. Upon seeing this, Shirish Zhangzi looked delighted and quickly chased after him, saying, "Senior Mori, wait for me." Tokyo Youth Channel First Primary School. A bespectacled iceberg boy is carefully reading the news about Shenwuxin Yi in Tennis Weekly. Will you participate in the National Elementary School Tennis Competition? You have no faith in yourself. End of this chapter. Chapter 5 Yakuzu. Tokyo, no one is more arrogant than me. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 5 Yakuzu. Tokyo, no one is more arrogant than me. Most of those young tennis geniuses only noticed the bold words that Shenwuxin had made, and they didn't pay much attention to him joining the Ice Emperor. But those tennis schools in Tokyo are paying close attention to the news of Shenwuxinyi joining Ice Emperor. Especially the two traditional tennis schools in Tokyo, Youth Academy and Yamagata High School. Alas, it's a pity that Shenwuxin didn't choose Qingxue. Otherwise, I would definitely bring out the second Echizen Nanjiro. Qingxue coach Long Qijin looked at the news in Tennis Weekly and felt envious and jealous of Ice Emperor. If Qingxue had Shenwuxin's leadership, she believed that Qingxue would definitely rise again. Fortunately, Shenwuxin and Long Qijin were unaware of their thoughts, otherwise they would have scoffed in front of Long Qijin's face. Do you not know your own teaching level? I really thought it was me who cultivated Echizen Nanjiro. No, Echizen Nanjiro can become a legend, and more importantly, his own talent. Believe it or not, handing over Nanjiro Echizen to Kanya Hatsuda would make his achievements even more brilliant than what has now become a legend. Moreover, there is a tradition in elementary school that only first-grade students can pick up balls. Those first-grade students cannot touch the racket for a year. Of course, Ryazaki Jin, as the name suggests, is to help young players hone their mindset and solidify their foundation. Not allowing first-grade players to participate in the competition and accumulate experience actually delays and suppresses those talented players in the first grade. Such behavior is simply murdering the tennis careers of those geniuses. Moreover, it is precisely because of the rule of Ryazaki Jin that senior students in junior high school bully the younger generation in the first grade. Even though Ryoma Echizen returned from the United States and Takahiro Tezuka became the minister, it still couldn't change the trend of youth education. I didn't see Arai in the second grade at that time and was still working with many senior students to bully first grade students such as Echizen and Horawai. And the source of this trend is also from Ryazaki Jin. Now, Shenwuxinyi has received the check from the Ice Emperor Academy, and apart from still bearing the title of Second Echizen Nanjiro, he has no connection with the academy. Even if Qingxue offered the same price as the Ice Emperor to invite Shenwuxin Yi, he would still choose the Ice Emperor. Unless young students are willing to pay extra. Of course, this is impossible. After all, with the current tennis performance of the youth school, the school would never pay this amount of money. Compared to the envy and jealousy of Qingxue Ryazaki Jin towards Ice Emperor, Coach Tanda from Yamagata High School has a much better mentality. Although he also wanted to invite Shenwuxinyi to the mountain to play, he couldn't give the Ice Emperor the conditions for Shenwuxinyi. He had already received news that in order to invite Shenwuxin to the Ice Emperor Academy had offered a generous scholarship, which was absolutely unaffordable for Shanchong High School. Coach Tanda originally planned to use his interpersonal relationships to invite Shenwuxinyi on the condition of sending him abroad to study tennis in the future. But when he heard that the conditions offered by Nagoya Saidaku were all rejected, Coach Tanda breathed a sigh of relief from inviting Shinichi Kanabu. After all, Nagoya Saidaku offered a scholarship of 5 million yen and sent him to Germany for tennis training. He believes that his qualifications are not comparable to those of Nagoya Shinda, let alone the Ice Emperor who offers a higher price. It seems that this little guy really loves money, said Ayumi Hinata as he sat in a chair, squinting his eyes and smiling faintly. If Shenwuxin heard the evaluation of his companion Ganya at this moment, he would definitely give him a thumbs up and say, "Companion, you are really accurate in what you see." Hinata Kane also smiled faintly, then became sad again. Although Yamagata can be considered a Tokyo tennis powerhouse, and every year there are players who become famous nationwide, only those who become famous are all doubles players. As for singles, it has become the biggest weakness of Shanblo High School today. At this moment, a young man with the same hair color as Shenwuxinyi appeared in his mind, and when he thought of him, he couldn't help but murmur slightly, that young man's talent can be said to be a monster that's hard to come by in 10 years. If he insists on playing tennis from now on, his future will not be weaker than Shenwuxinyi. By the way, the name of that child seems to be called Yakuzu Ren. In an alley near Shanblo Middle School, a rebellious white-haired boy is blocking several delinquent middle school students. At this moment, the white-haired boy looked very dangerous, especially his pupils, which gave a chilling feeling. The few junior high school students trembled when they saw the newcomer. They had also heard of the young man in front of them, named Yakuzu Ren, who specifically searched for delinquent youths nearby to extort money. However, they didn't expect that Yakuzu Ren would find them today. "Give me the money," Echizen said in a cold tone, as if a general were giving orders to soldiers. Although those delinquent junior high school students trembled in the face of Yakuzu Ren's gaze, as delinquent teenagers, they naturally wouldn't easily give up. A slightly older teenager stood up and shouted to the people around them, "Let's go together." After a moment, Yakuzu walked out of the alley, of course, with a sum of money in his hand. As for the previous alley, 4 or 5 delinquent youths were lying there in a twisted state, constantly muttering in fear, "Devil, Netizen is a devil." At this moment, Echizen walked on the street and came to a street tennis court. He only heard those tennis boys discussing a boy named Shenwuxinyi. He just listened quietly there, and when it was almost time, he got up and went home. Ha ha ha. Is creating my own era. This guy called Shenwu is really arrogant. On the way back, Akuzura remembered the discussions of those people before, and now he looked fierce. He then said to himself fiercely, when this guy comes to Tokyo, he must teach him a lesson. In Tokyo, no one can be more arrogant than me, Akuzuru. Nagoya, Shenwuxinyi didn't even know that he was being watched by all the Japanese tennis geniuses, and even the dangerous guy Yakuzu. At this moment, with a lack of faith and a face full of lovelessness, I am staying in my own small shop. Mother Shenwuxin Naoko took the check and said it was for Shenwuxinyi to keep and return it to Shenwuxinyi when she grew up. But if he didn't believe it, he knew his mother was lying to him. If he gave her the money, he would never come back. Seeing her own son's depressed will, Renako knew it was because she had taken the check. Therefore, in the past few days, Renako may have felt guilty, or maybe her son is about to leave home and go to Tokyo for school. So she worked hard to make dishes that she loved to eat, and even gave her a 10,000 yen pocket money that she had never given before. But when faced with delicious food, Shenwuxin had no appetite and his heart was heartbroken. He didn't want 10,000, he wanted everything. After hastily taking 2 bites of dinner, Shenwuxin quickly returned to his bedroom on the 2nd floor of the small shop. Although the money was taken by his mother, Renako, during this meeting with the Ice Emperor Academy, Shenwuxinyi gained a great deal. Not only was it the exorbitant scholarship given by the Ice Emperor, but more importantly, after the decisive victory with the Yuji Guang, the long-lost system panel of Shenwuxinyi finally underwent a change. As a newcomer, the author is seeking collection and recommendation tickets. Please, the author has 3 chapters per day and 7,000 updates per day. It will never be interrupted in the future. If they sign a contract and put it on the shelves, it will be 10,000 updates per day. I hope readers can collect it greatly. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Showdown, I'm Invincible. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Showdown, I'm Invincible. Shenwuxin lay in bed and opened his system panel again. Shenwuxin 1 5-dimensional value power. 7 speed. 3.5 endurance. 3.5 tip. 2.1 spirit. 4.5 total 5-dimensional values. 20.6 Kaiduo template progress. 0.00001% big move skills. Thundering 8 trigrams with both hands, unlocked by 0.00004%, Thundering 8 trigrams complete, unlocked by 0.00002%, Wind Blade, unlocked, Bad Wind, unlocked, Thundering, unlocked, Tornado, unlocked, Tornado Bad Wind, unlocked, Heat Breathing, unlocked. Shenwuxin has been working hard for 3 years. And now he has finally broken through to the national level, especially his strength, which has directly reached 7. It should be noted that if a single item's 5-dimensional value breaks 7, it becomes a completely different level. For 3 years, a whole 3 years, there were still cases of cheating, and it was only then that Shenwuxin Yi broke through to the national level. In the past 3 years, he has been working hard and has almost traveled all over Japan. Wherever there are elementary school competitions, he is there. It's too difficult, it's really too difficult for God to believe. Now, he has finally become a national level, and not just an ordinary national level. Because this time, Shenwuxin Yi not only experienced a significant increase in his 5-dimensional value, but most importantly, his ultimate skill have also been improved. The power of his two-handed Thunderous Gossip has now surpassed Ishida Yin's 108 style wave ball, and unlike Ishida Yin, his wave ball has limitations, allowing him to only play a few moves in a game. But Shenwuxin's hands Thundering and Gossiping are different, they can output infinitely and be used casually in a game. After finishing all the Thunderous Gossip, I used to only use it once a day, but now I have improved. If I play a game, I can use it at least 4 times. It is precisely because of this move that even when facing the soon-to-graduate Phoenix of the Equal Academy, Shenwuxinyi has the confidence to win a game in his hands. There is also a service with a surge in power. Previously, the ball speed was around 195 kilometers, but now with a surge in power, Shenwuxinyi's service has reached a speed of 205 kilometers. This ball speed is rare among peers to catch, probably only a few talents such as Yukimura and Tezuka can catch it. But even if they can receive it, the power of the counterattack will inevitably be greatly reduced for their current age. At that time, one's own hands will be completely liberated by Thunderous Gossip. Because of the current strength of Yukimura and Tezuka, even with their Thunderous Gossip, they cannot retaliate. And this also ensures that Shinichi's serve will be flawless. The only game that you are not sure about winning now is the one where the geniuses serve. After all, once those guys become familiar with you, they won't easily give you the opportunity to play Thunderous Gossip in the serve. But this is not a problem. In case the game reaches the decisive stage, one can completely ignore martial arts and engage in surprise attacks, using all the thunder and gossip, and the winner will definitely belong to oneself. After all, the complete Thunderous Gossip is much better than the two-handed Thunderous Gossip. There are many factors to consider when receiving a ball with Thunderous Gossip, such as rotation. But the complete body is different. As long as you catch the ball, you can launch this big move at any time. After all, the overwhelming force can destroy all external factors. So now, with no faith in God, one can confidently go out to the waves. The monsters of those senior students are about to graduate, and among their peers, no one is their opponent anymore, even though Yukimura has now learned to eliminate the 5 senses. Because Yukimura also has one biggest weakness, which is that his physical fitness cannot keep up with his playing skills. Whether it is his Thunderous Gossip with both hands or his ability to complete the whole game, he cannot counterattack. As long as you keep your serve in the match, then give up Yukimura's serve and not give him the chance to unleash the 5 senses. Then, in the decisive game, make a surprise attack and use complete body Thunder Gossip. At that time, the winner will still be Shinichi. Moreover, the current Yukimura Seishi has not yet fully developed the ultimate skill of eliminating the 5 senses. Putting away the panel, Shenwuxin picked up the latest tennis weekly magazine and started reading it in a bored manner. Looking at the words praising him above, Shenwuxin no longer felt as guilty as before. After all, he can now shout out loud, "I'm showing my cards, I'm not pretending anymore. Among my peers, I'm invincible." Shenwuxin flipped through another page of the Tennis Weekly magazine and saw the news of the National Elementary School Tennis Competition. He smiled slightly and said, "This elementary school tennis competition held in Tokyo is a great opportunity for me, Shenwuxin, to crush the same generation. Tezuka Guoguang, Yukimura Jingshi, and Sanada Shinichiro, your nightmare has come." With this in mind, Shenwuxin walked out of the room and picked up the phone that his father, Kotaro, had bought for him. He then called the phone left by Kotaro. After a moment, Mataro's magnetic voice rang out on his phone. "Godless, why call me so late? My advisor, I'm going to Tokyo in advance to participate in this year's National Elementary School Tennis Competition." "Oh, why is that?" "You know, with your strength, not to mention elementary school students, I'm afraid those junior high school students are not your opponents either." Kotaro felt that participating in elementary school tennis tournaments with Shin no Shinichi's strength was completely meaningless because he felt that no one among his peers could defeat Shin no Shinichi. "No, there are a few guys in this elementary school competition that I am very interested in. I think in the future, they may be my opponents in junior high school." Upon hearing these words, Kotaro was surprised to find that there were still peers of his age who interested Shin no Shinichi and even referred to him as his future rival. Therefore, Kotaro couldn't help but ask, "Oh, do you know their names?" Tokyo's Tezuka Kokuo, Kanagawa's Yukimura Seiji, and Shinichiro Makita are all national-level experts in terms of their current strength. Therefore, Shinichiro Makita should have also crossed the national-level threshold. Shenwuxin didn't know that Xiansui Qianli and Jujuping from Kyushu were also preparing to participate in this competition, otherwise he wouldn't have missed these two people. On the other end of the phone, Kotaro was also surprised when he heard this. He had also heard of the names of these three people. After all, they were just slightly less famous and had no faith in each other. Although he knew they were also geniuses, Kotaro never expected that all three of them were national-level athletes. If we add Shenwuxin Yi, there will be 4 national-level experts in this elementary school competition. Kotaro thinks it's too interesting. In elementary school tennis matches, there's actually a chance to see national-level matches that are difficult to see in junior high school. With this in mind, Kotaro became curious again and asked, "How do they compare to you?" "I am stronger than them." Shenwuxin's words were short, but full of confidence. If the system panel had not changed before, Shenwuxin would not have dared to say so, but now his own strength has greatly increased, and Shenwuxin has expanded. He wants to make a name for himself and let Kotaro know that the 15 million yen he spent with the Ice Emperor is not in vain. On this side, Kotaro also heard the confidence in Shenwuxin's tone, and he was very satisfied with Shenwuxin's answer. So on the phone, Kotaro's face also showed a rare smile. Sure enough, among people of the same age, the one with no faith in God is still the strongest. "Okay, you're coming to Tokyo. Do you want me to drive to Nagoya to pick you up?" In fact, Kotaro was just being polite. He felt that as a cold and independent person like Shino Shinichi, he wouldn't let himself pick you up. Just a lack of faith shattered his arrogance. "Okay, then please trouble the consultant." On the other end of the phone, Kotaro's face twitched and he took a deep breath before speaking calmly, "Okay, I'll go to Nagoya tomorrow to pick you up, and I'll also let you come to the Ice Emperor Academy to familiarize yourself. Could you please advise me?" "Well, let me put it that way first." "Okay, goodbye, consultant." After hanging up the phone, Shenwuxin couldn't help but feel secretly happy. Haha, he saved another amount of travel expenses. Seeking collection, seeking recommendation tickets, thank you for Yi Xiaozong's Big 9 recommendation tickets. Thank you for loving me. Who do you think I am? Big 4 recommendation tickets. Thank you, I will continue to work hard to code them. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Appointing Minister of the Ice Emperor. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Appointing Minister of the Ice Emperor. The next morning, Kotaro rushed over from Tokyo, and Shinichi's family had already packed their luggage. The godless grandfather and father looked okay. After all, they were both men, and even if they were reluctant, they didn't say much. But the godless grandmother and mother, with tears in their eyes and worries on their faces. In the past, Shenwuxin often went out to play games, but at that time, he only left home for a few days each time. And now, as soon as Shenwuxin goes to the Ice Emperor, he has been walking for several months, and the reluctance of his family is understandable. Of course, there is also reluctance to part with God without faith, but for the sake of dreams, some things have to be temporarily put aside. Shenwuxin, with red eyes, got into Taro's car and went to Tokyo with thousands of reminders and instructions from his parents and family. There was nothing to say all the way, and by the time Shenwuxin and Kotaro arrived at the Ice Emperor Academy, it was already noon. Kotaro first arranged for Shinji to eat something in the teacher's cafeteria, and then took him to the dormitory arranged by the school. The dormitory is not big, it's a single room with a separate bathroom inside. Shenwuxin quickly glanced at the room and, after putting down his luggage, followed Mataro to the tennis department. The Ice Emperor tennis department has performed exceptionally well in national competitions in recent years, making almost everyone across the country aware of this school. And Yu Jiyue, the head of the tennis department at the Ice Emperor Academy, is also the first person to make the name of the Ice Emperor famous throughout the country. However, this year's Yueguang is about to graduate, and after his graduation, no one from the tennis department has come forward to challenge the Ice Emperor. I just didn't expect that the counselor in the school would be so determined, spending a lot of money on scholarships and inviting the strongest of the new era, without any confidence. Because he knew that Shinichi would come to the Ice Emperor Academy today, Tsuyoshi Yoshimitsu arrived early in the tennis department conference room, waiting for Mataro and Shinichi. The door of the conference room was opened, and as soon as Kotaro led Shin into the room, the two of them had just entered when they saw Tsuyoshi sitting at the conference table. Yueguang stood up respectfully when she saw that the person coming was Kotaro and said, "Advisor." Kotaro nodded and responded. At this moment, Shenwuxin also approached and said, "Senior Yuji." Yueguang just nodded coldly, not caring at all because he knew that Yueguang had this personality. After the three of them gathered around the conference table and sat down, Kotaro looked at the Echizen moonlight and said, "Did they invite you over there?" Yuji nodded slightly. He was not surprised that Kotaro knew about this matter. After all, his advisor was not an ordinary person. After the national competition ended, he received an invitation from the EP1-17 training camp. And he also agreed, and in a while, he will go to the EP1-17 training camp. Just before that, he still felt a bit uneasy about the Ice Emperor tennis department. The third-grade members of the tennis department have already submitted applications for withdrawal, leaving only some members from the first and second grades. He knows their strength is stronger than some schools, but if they want to enter the national competition, their strength is not enough. Today, come and take a look at the current situation of the tennis department. The second reason is that Yuji wants to hand over the tennis department to Shenwuxin. Seeing Yuji moonlight nodding, Kotaro continued, "That's where Japanese tennis elites gather. I believe you can make progress there." "I see, consultant." Well, Kotaro responded for a moment, then looked at Shinji again. "If there is a chance in the future, I believe you will also go there." Although the words spoken by Kotaro and Yoshiyuki may seem like a riddle, as a traveler, Shinji knew that what they were talking about was probably U17. So he nodded calmly without asking too many questions. At this moment, Kotaro took out a registration form from a drawer and placed it in front of Shinji, saying, "Anyway, we also need to enter the tennis department at the beginning of the school year. Let's fill it out now. This is the process of the tennis department and cannot be omitted." Shenwu took the form and quickly filled it out, handing it over to Kotaro. Kotaro just glanced at it and put the registration form in the drawer. Then he asked Echigo Yoshimitsu, are you here to see me today? Is there anything else? Advisor, I plan to resign from the position of Minister of the Ice Emperor, said Yu Jiyue, looking back at Shenwuxin. I want Shenwuxin to become the new Minister of the Ice Emperor. After hearing this, Kotaro also looked at Shenwuxinyi and said, Shenwu, are you willing to become the new Minister of the Ice Emperor? Minister, of course I am willing. Although he took over the position of Minister of the original work by Kigo Ashikaga, Shenwuxin felt a bit uncomfortable, but he still agreed. After all, he didn't want to be under the control of Akamoto Jinwu in the future, so Shenwuxin didn't hesitate at all. I am willing to be the new Minister of the Ice Emperor. Kotaro and Yoshiyuki nodded to each other, then stood up together. Kotaro looked at Shenwuxinyi and said, let's go to the stadium and let those members meet the new minister. After speaking, Kotaro walked out with the more intelligent Moonlight. And Shenwuxin followed closely behind the two, watching them shake their heads and smirk. Their personalities were really similar. Looking indifferent, but caring for others more than anyone else. Quickly, the three of them arrived at the tennis court. Without a trace, they saw that the first and second grade members were training inside the court. Everyone, gather. Yuji Yueguang looked at everyone and said in a deep voice. As the words fell, the entire tennis department gathered at the fastest speed possible. How many people are there in the tennis department now? Shenwuxin asked subconsciously as he looked at the players in front of him in the lined-up line. Yu Jiyue said, after leaving the tennis department in 3rd grade, there are still 71 people left, including 2 regular players. 71 people. Compared to the original work, there are too few tennis departments with over 200 people. How can this demonstrate the prestige of the Ice Emperor in the future? So, when the new academic year starts, the tennis department personnel must expand. Those people can't play games, so it's good to be a cheerleader. Well, this matter will be handed over to Mobu. Although Kigo Ashikaga is still in the Ice Emperor Academy, Shenwuxinyi has arranged for him. He is confident that he can subdue Ashikaga. At this moment, Yu Jiyue took a step forward and looked at all the Ice Emperor players. Let me announce something. Yu Jiyue pointed to Shenwuxinyi on his left side, his mirrored eyes fixed on all the people. Shenwuxinyi, the head of the next Ice Emperor tennis department. Wow! As soon as Yu Jiyue finished speaking, the team burst into a torrential discussion. It's him, he's just unbelievable. Hello, what Tennis Weekly said is true. This guy has really come, our Ice Emperor. Shenwuxin has defeated the far-field Duhaing and our Minister of Muto, but he is a complete monster. The people below were discussing extensively, but none of them spoke out against it. Instead, they all felt that it was only natural for a minister to be untrustworthy. This made Shenwuxin think about the trilogy of pretending, slapping, and standing up, but in the end, one failed. Shenwuxin suddenly felt very distressed. His fame was too great, and sometimes things could go wrong, disrupting all of his plans. Alright, everything is quiet. Yuji Yueguang shouted in a deep voice, then looked at Shenwuxinyi and said, Shenwu, do you have anything to say? Shenwuxin shook his head lightly. These guys are too weak, and now the remaining main candidates feel that their strength is not even at the Kanto level. It is meaningless to lecture them now. It's better to wait until the new academic year starts, and then modify some of the rules of the Ice Emperor after those talented first-year students join the tennis department. Seeing that there was nothing to say, Yu Jiyue looked at the players on the tennis court and shouted, disband. Yu Jiyue announced that the team had finished, and the next moment, the members of the team immediately began to disband. After the disbandment, the players proceeded with their own training. Yu Jiyue solemnly said to Shenwuxin, from now on, the Ice Emperor will be entrusted to you. I will definitely bring the Ice Emperor to the pinnacle of the country. When God without faith said this sentence again, he felt more sincere than last time. After all, he is now the new Minister of Ice Emperor. For shifts a day, big shots you like, please click to save it. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Primary School Tennis Competition. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 8 Primary School Tennis Competition Tokyo Metropolis, Jisen Tennis Center Park. This is one of the 5 second-level tennis courts in Tokyo and also the venue for the recent Kyoto tournament in the Middle East. The entire Central Park has a total of 16 tennis courts. The national primary school competition is held at this tennis venue. The competition has been on its 3rd day, and the quarterfinals were decided 2 days ago. Today's last day is also the final battle for the championship. Outside the stadium, there were crowds of spectators watching the ball, including coaches from prestigious tennis schools across the country and journalists holding cameras. "Hey, let me in, let me in. My friend is participating in a competition, and I want to cheer him on." A young man with wine-red hair pushed forward hard while shouting, "Shirhu, hurry up. Silang's competition is about to start." "You ren, I know now." A brown-haired ponytail boy closely followed behind the wine-red-haired boy. In the crowd, 2 teenagers desperately squeezed inside, but there were too many people. They had a lot of effort to squeeze to the front, with their faces almost pressed against the barbed wire of the isolation court. Finally squeezed in, it's really bad. The ponytail boy looked around at the audience watching the game and couldn't help but sigh, I didn't expect so many people to come and watch the quarterfinals. The boy with wine-red bangs took a deep breath and said, "Shirhu, this year's competition is too scary, isn't it? These guys who made it to the quarterfinals, except for Tsilang and Shenwuxin Yi, everyone else feels strong like monsters." "Fool." The ponytail boy scolded the wine-red-haired boy, "I don't know that one named Shenwuxin Yi, but Tsilang is also a monster. You ren, you have never defeated Tsilang." "Shirhu." The young man with wine-red hair originally wanted to refute, but in the end, he still put down his flag and pretended to be strong, saying, "Next time, I will definitely defeat Tsilang." The boy named Shirhu ignored the bold words made by the wine-red-haired boy, but looked at the drowsy orange-haired boy on the field with envy on his face. "I really envy Tsilang, who actually made it to the quarterfinals." He said his performance this year is limited to the top 32. In theory, this score is quite good, but he is one of the top 3 experts in Ice Emperor Elementary School. After Ice Emperor made it to the national competition in junior high school and achieved impressive results in the top 4, his tennis representative from elementary school also received double the attention. It can be said that throughout Tokyo, he can also be considered somewhat famous. The orange-haired boy who is about to play on the court is his friend, named Akutagawa Siro, a tennis freak from Ice Emperor Elementary School. "During regular training, I only know how to sleep, but my tennis foundation is stronger than everyone else, especially with that eerie trick that makes it hard to defend against, which is completely unreasonable." As for these 2 teenagers, they are 2 other well-known contestants from Ice Emperor Elementary School. The person with red wine hair is called Xiangri Ren, who is agile and skilled. The person with long hair is called Shirhu Yang, known for his fast break and is a famous breakthrough player. However, in this edition of the primary school competition, both of them were eliminated from the top 32. This was a big blow to the arrogant couple, but fortunately, their friend Akutagawa Siro made it to the quarterfinals and saved some face for their Ice Emperor Elementary School trio. The quarterfinals are about to begin, and the list of the quarterfinals has already been announced on the large display screen of the tennis park. Tezuka Guoguang vs Chikushi Qingchun, Venue 2, Yukimura Seishi vs Qiansui Li, Site 3, Akutagawa Siro vs Makita Kenichiro, Venue 7, Jujuping vs Shenwuxin Yi, Venue 8. The 2 also looked up at the roster for the quarter-finals. After reading the list of matches, the 2 of them suddenly frowned and said to Hinata, "Sanada Kenichiro, that's the guy who eliminated you. Can Siro defeat him?" Upon hearing this, Shigeru Ryo simply shook his head with a bitter smile and said, "Shinichiro Makita is just a monster. The pride and self-esteem that Shigeru Ryo had accumulated from childhood to adulthood were shattered completely in front of Shinichiro Makita. But in his heart, he was not convinced. Even now, thinking of that game, Shiryu still has a deep sense of fear. Seeing Shigeru's attitude towards Shinichiro Makita, Hinata had already guessed how much powerlessness Shinichiro Makita had given Shigeru. At this moment, looking at Akutagawa Shiro, who was still drowsy on the field, Hinayama couldn't help but worry and said, "Is Shiro about to stop in the quarterfinals?" "I think so." Shibata Ryo had fought against both Makita and Akutagawa, both of whom were stronger than him. However, Makita Kenichiro was so strong that he was desperate. He did not believe that Akutagawa Shiro could defeat Makita. "There are so many monsters in this competition, I don't know who the champion will be," said Hinata. He couldn't help but think of the man who eliminated him, Takahiro Tezuka, who was like an iceberg and didn't score a point in his hands. "I don't know, from the start of the competition until now, there have been 6 people who haven't lost a game. We can't even see through their strength," said Shihu Liang, his tone full of bitterness. He never thought that there were so many people of his age who were stronger than him. The champion should be among the 6 of them. At this moment, a broadcast sound came into people's ears. "Next, the quarterfinals of the National Elementary School Tennis Competition will begin. Players are requested to go to the competition venue to prepare." At this moment, Shenwuxin was very confused. He never expected that Qiansui Qianli and Jujuping would also participate in this competition. Although Shenwuxin was a bit confused, he didn't pay much attention. Instead, he picked up his racket and calmly walked towards Court 8. Today, Kotaro also came to the sidelines and sat next to Shin no Shin. At this moment, Shigeru Ryo and Hinata Yoshitaka also saw Otaro. "Hello Shiryu, that rumor is true." Shen Wuxin joined the Ice Emperor. As a player in the Ice Emperor Elementary School, Xian Yue naturally knows the consultant of the tennis department in the Ice Empire. "I'm afraid it's not just about joining the Ice Emperor. Look behind them, all the seniors in the tennis department are here," Shido Ryo continued, looking in the direction of Shenwuxinyi and continuing to speak to the Hinayama people. "Previously, I heard a senior in junior high school say that Shenwuxinyi was already the new head of the Ice Emperor's tennis department. I was a bit skeptical at first, but now it seems to be true. Being a minister in the 1st grade." Xiang Ryu was a bit skeptical and surprised, but then showed a hint of smile. "If that's really the case, then we will definitely be very interesting when we enter junior high school. I don't know if our future minister will win the championship in this competition." "It's hard to say," Shiryu shook his head and said, "Shenwuxin is very strong, but his opponent in this game, Jujupei, is also one of the 6 players who has not lost points until now. There are too many monsters in this game. Then this is a strong power dialogue. Damn it, I really want to watch it." Xiang Ryurin really wanted to pay attention to the match between Shin no Shinichi and Jujupei, but as Akutagawa Shiro's best friend, he could only cheer him on. Not only in the game of Shin no Shinichi, but also in the game of Yukimura Seishi vs Chitose Kuri, which is also a monster-to-monster duel. Shirzwa Ryo withdrew his gaze and looked back at Akutagawa Shiro on the field. Suddenly a nameless evil fire surged in his heart. "Bastard Shiro, wake me up." At this point, all the players had arrived at the competition field, with only Field 2, and only Qiancher Qingchun was there, while his opponent, the Iceberg Youth, was still on the way to compete. "I just can't wait for him in the competition because it's about to start." End of this chapter. Chapter 9. The Opening of the Golden Generation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. The Opening of the Golden Generation. The Ice Emperor will surely win. The Minister is invincible. The Ice Emperor will surely win. The Minister is invincible. At this moment, behind Shenwuxinyi, dozens of members of the Ice Emperor tennis team were shouting in unison, appearing abrupt yet somewhat shocking on the court. Is it true or not? Is Shenwuxin the head of the Ice Emperor tennis department? I became a minister in the first grade, did I bet on the future of the Ice Emperor? I'm really envious. Before I even entered school, I had already become a minister. If you also have the power of God without faith, you can also become a minister. There were discussions outside the stadium, but on the field, Shin no Shinichi and Jukuhai had already clasped their hands together. God has no faith. Jujuping. In the quarterfinals of the national primary school tennis competition, Jujuping played against Shenwuxinyi, with Jujuping serving first. Ha! Orange looked at Shenwuxinyi across from her and let out a long breath of turbid air. Only face did Jujuping realize how powerful the aura on Shenwuxin's body was, which caused him great pressure. But at the same time, he is also very excited. It is precisely because of such opponents that tennis is interesting. After calming down her emotions, Jujuping threw the tennis ball high and then swung it down. Bang! The tennis ball turned into a yellow light, like a shell, flying towards the half of Shenwuxin. This ball was extremely fast and powerful. The speed of this ball exceeds 190 km per hour. Step on it. Faced with the incoming ball, Shenwuxin's face turned pale. Although Jujuping's serve was of extremely high quality, both speed and strength were much inferior to Shenwuxin's own serve. I saw his figure flash and he appeared in front of the tennis ball in an instant. His power far surpassing that of his peers has created his powerful explosive power today, making his short-distance movement speed extremely fast. Give the racket a powerful swing in your hand. Bang! The speed of the tennis counterattack was even faster than Orange Ping's serve, and with a strong roar, it flew towards the opposite half. Faced with a counterattack from Shin no Shinichi, Jujuping was on high alert. He could feel the power of the ball, so he grabbed the racket with both hands and used all his strength to hit the ball back. Perhaps it was because the speed of Shenwu's return stroke was too fast, or perhaps the power of the tennis ball was too great. The quality of the return stroke for Jujuping was not high. This also allows Shenwuxin to have the opportunity to engage in thunderous gossip with both hands. I saw him step back, holding the racket with both hands and posing, and the muscles hidden under his clothes began to wriggle in an instant. Before this game, Shenwuxin had never used a single ultimate move against an opponent, using only physical strength to crush them. However, this time against Jujuping, Shenwuxin used his ultimate move for the first time in this tournament. Double. Hands. Thunder. Sound. 8. Hexagrams. The racket in his hand was swung into a remnant by Shenwuxin, and the tennis ball made thunderous sounds as it flew straight forward. A clear wave of air followed the tennis ball's flight trajectory and spread in all directions, followed by a thunderous roar that shook the entire court. The thunderous sound even made many spectators feel uncomfortable for a moment. When the thunderous sound came to an end, I saw that Jujuping had already been kicked out of the court by this ball, and he was already in a state of embarrassment. He didn't retaliate with that ball just now, and the reason why he was thrown away was entirely due to the aura of the tennis ball itself. At this moment, Juju has bloodshot eyes and a heart full of decadence. The gap is really too big. Is this the man who is known as the second legendary man? Jujuping stood up with a bitter smile. He couldn't even catch the ball, indicating how ignorant he was before. He wanted to compete well with the man at the pinnacle of this new era of tennis. Although she knows there is no possibility of winning, Jujuping will never give up, because once she gives up, it means she has given up the possibility of continuing to grow. At 0.15, God has no faith in scoring. The referee was also frightened by the ball, and even when reporting the score, he felt a little trembling. Ice Emperor, we must win. Minister, we must win. Ice Emperor, we must win. Minister, we must win. After seeing this ball, the members of the Ice Emperor team off the field all blushed and shouted loudly. This was their new minister of the Ice Emperor, a man who was completely untrustworthy and stood on the field like a god. The audience off the field looked at the figure standing on the field in disbelief, talking incessantly. "Hey, this is too scary. No one can hit this ball back. Monster, without faith, is a monster. If this ball hits a person, it will definitely die." Shigeru Ryo and the people of Hinayama in the stands also saw this ball. Shocking, at this moment their mood is shocking. Without faith, they were incredibly strong, and their eyes were already filled with fanaticism. "Sherhu, after we enter junior high school, let's join the Ice Emperor Tennis Club together." Although speaking to Sherhu Liang, Hinayama looked at Shino Shinichi on the field not far away, not even at his friend Akutagawa Siro. "Okay," Shio Ryu nodded coldly, but his eyes were full of heat, looking at the figure of Shin no Shinichi. Sitting on the sidelines, Kotaro ignored the surrounding discussions about Shin no Shinichi and remained indifferent to the power of Shin no Shinichi's move. Because he has seen the truly divine and magical skill of Shenwuxin Yi. At this moment, he was very satisfied with Shenwuxin Yi and also grateful that he could be brought back to the Ice Emperor. The noise outside the field continued, but the game on the field had already begun, and tennis began to dance non-stop on the field. At 0.30, Shenwuxin scores 1 point. 0.40, Divine Unbelief scores 1 point. Game, 1.0, Shenwuxin leads. Bang! Another move is to use both hands to thunder and gossip. Game, 4.0, Shenwuxin leads. Bang! Game, 5.0, Shenwuxin leads. The game ended with a score of 6.0, and Shin no Shinichi won. Although jujuping is very strong and is only one step away from reaching the national level threshold, he has encountered a lack of faith. So there was no suspense about the outcome of the game, with no loss of a goal and a 6.0 sweep of jujuping. Since the breakthrough of 7 in the 5-dimensional power, Shen Wuxin Yi has known that he is already an invincible existence among his peers. Sigh, I can't believe that jujuping, who didn't concede a goal in the previous game, didn't score a single point in this game. I thought this game would be evenly matched, but I didn't expect it to end up with a sweep. It's not that jujuping is not strong enough, it's that Shen Wuxin is too strong. I'm afraid no one among his peers is his opponent. On the stands, Coach Tanda from Yamagata High School looked at Shen Wuxin with admiration. Sitting next to him, the youth coach Ryazaki Jin looked at Shinichi on the field with a complicated expression, and couldn't help but murmur, it would be great if he could join the youth academy. After finishing speaking, he looked at the young man wearing a brownish-red suit on the sidelines, his eyes full of envy. On the court, Shen Wuxin walked up to the net with his racket and extended his hand, saying, "Although I won this game, you played very well." "Is that right?" Jujuping extended her hand with a bitter smile, her eyes somewhat dim. Since he started playing tennis, he never thought that there would be such a big difference in strength between himself and another person. "Don't feel unwilling, after all, losing to me is not a shameful thing. Besides, in order to respect you, I used my own unique skills. You should know that in this competition, you are the first person to let me take the initiative to use my skills." "It seems that I am quite honored," said Jujuping, whose face was no longer as dim as before, with a hint of smile as she clasped her hands with Shenwuxin. After they finished speaking, they looked at each other and smiled before leaving the venue. This game took a very short time, only 10 minutes. Initially, Shen Wuxin felt that his game time was short enough, but there was one person who ended it even faster than Shen Wuxin's. This person is not Shinichiro Maeda, nor is he Seishi Yukimura. But instead, he kept talking about the purity of the 1,000 stones of lucky. End of this chapter.